Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Simply Nerdy. This is Anthony. I'm going to be hosting this episode. So I'm going to be talking about a topic that has me very excited and is pretty pertinent right now. There's been a lot of information and showings on this since the Game Awards, so if you don't know what I'm talking about Final Fantasy VII Remake. So first of all, and I doubt I need to say much on this, but I'll just indicate that Final Fantasy VII is probably one of my favorite RPGs. It's been a very long time since I've played the original, but I'm actually now saving any revisitations to Midgar until the remake comes out for obvious reasons. But it need not be said that there's a very good reason that this game has such a big reputation. I happen to be one of its fans. So I probably don't need to go any further than that. But I just wanted to kind of give some thoughts on why I'm really excited for Final Fantasy VII Remake. First of all, I love how much effort it looks like they're actually putting into making this a solid remake. It's not just a revisitation as a lot of quote-unquote remakes are, but it looks like they're bringing out all the stops and showing that the passion that gamers have poured into this game for so long is being mirrored by the developers. It kind of seems like the people who are making this remake are people who played and loved the original just as much as the rest of us who are enthusiastic about that game. And it really shows. As you guys have heard probably more than once if you've listened to our other episodes, I'm not huge on visuals. It's the least important factor to me in making a game good. But I have to admit that, you know, the visual presentation of this game is spectacular. I still probably won't be pixel counting or spending time panning the camera to get views of the scenery, but I can certainly appreciate how much polish they've put onto the visuals in this game. And I think probably the area that I love the most is the character models and their expressiveness. The in the trailer shown at the Game Awards, that part when Cloud does that little smirk right after Lady Jessie, I think it was her, when she's like, that was so cool, and then Cloud does that little smirk. I just had to, grin from ear to ear at that part because, and you know what? Okay, I'll preface this by saying that I played this game a very long time ago. I was quite a bit younger, so there's probably a few story beats that were lost on me. But one of the things that I always felt that never really got fleshed out in the original is, well, Cloud. Honestly, I feel like in a lot of ways he kind of remained an enigma throughout the majority of the game, and there was development, sure. He didn't stay the same moody, edgy mercenary that he started off as, but I don't know that he really got super far from that either. And I feel like already the little bit I've seen in just the few snippets of gameplay and the trailers they've shown make me excited and hopeful at the idea that maybe we'll get, if not necessarily more of his motivations, that at least a lot more of his character. One part in a recent clip I saw of someone showing some gameplay from the demo was just a little piece of dialogue, banter, well, not even really, but not banter, dialogue between Barrett and Cloud when they're descending into the reactor, the Mako reactor. Barrett asks this kind of offhand question, something to the effect of, if we fell into the live stream down there, do you think that we would fall all the way to the center of the planet, or something like that? And Cloud, in kind of a really backhanded, dismissive way, responds by saying, no, the pumps would suck us back up, or something like that. And then Barrett's like, well, that's comforting, and he sounds, a little bit petulant about it. Anyway, I just like that type of fleshing out is something that I'm really, really, really excited for with this game. Those kind of throwaway dialogues that the value in them comes from the characterization and the fleshing out of these characters. And it also, I don't know, like makes the characters feel a lot more relatable to see them, in such circumstances, especially Cloud, because again, as I said, I admit I was early teens at oldest when I beat this game. It didn't change the fact that I loved it, but again, there could have been some things lost on me. But I still feel like having this level of characterization for Cloud is something that I'm really, really excited for. So I can't drive that home enough. Although I will say that one thing that I definitely picked up on in the original is he was still kind of a smart aleck, and he is now. but they presented it in so much more of a fun way. So anyway, that's probably one of my biggest things I'm excited for. But the other thing that I feel like has really got me excited too is the battle system. So I have to preface this by saying that I had a lot of misgivings when I heard that they were taking kind of a more action-oriented, maybe even kind of Kingdom Heartsy approach to the battle system, because I feel like with a game that has been, well, I mean, RPGs in general, especially in that era, you know, to try and take something that had been built around the active time battle system, you know, and the kind of point and click battle gameplay, and try to translate it into a more free-form, action-oriented battle system, had me nervous. You know, I was thinking, okay, well, not to throw Kingdom Hearts onto the bus, and again, you know, I'll have you understand that I love that series, but you know, would we just end up having, you know, your fellow characters turn into kind of dumb AI that get killed by the first enemy that sees them, and then it's just all up to you and you're just mashing buttons? That was something that had me nervous. And so to kind of see how they've decided to kind of take that Kingdom Hearts inspired action oriented gameplay, but then still marry it to the active time battle system in a way so seamless that it almost seems like they were made for each other. I mean, it blows my mind how well they appear at least to have put those things together. Now, you know, I've not played it, and I guess time will tell if it's a system that holds up, but from what I can tell, I'm really excited by the ramifications of how they put this together. So, I mean, the way they've kind of made each one feed into the other makes it seem like neither one is going to supersede the other. You know, you have the kind of active elements where you're dodging, you're hiding behind cover, you're using an attack button to deliver kind of chip damage strikes, things like that. Those are all very Kingdom Hearts inspired, but they don't appear like they're set to devolve into button mashing because of the way that they've created this system where it ties into your active time gauge battle system thing, where so like you do your normal attacks, right, and they don't do a whole lot of damage, which I think is part of the genius here, because, you know, rather than allowing players to just rely on mashing the button, it forces them to use their commands instead. And so these attacks fill up your battle gauge. It's not just you're waiting until it fills up, which I think is another genius thing, because it's making you use both systems. But your attacks fill up the gauge, as I understand it at least, and then when the gauge is full, and there's technically two segments to the gauge, which allows you to do two actions in, you know, per full gauge. So you fill that up, and then from there you kind of go into a time slowed command selection screen that's a lot more reminiscent of traditional Final Fantasy battle systems, where you can select various spells or attacks. For example, one that they showed was in one of the demos I watched. The Cloud used Braver a lot. That was one of his limit breaks in the original game. It looks like that has been relegated to more of a special attack. So that's kind of interesting too. I guess we'll see how they've revamped the limit system. It's still there. Apparently cross slash it's the limit I saw him use in one of the demos I watched. But you can select from that, you can select from spells, items, all those are tied to the actual, the gauges. When I looked at this and I saw kind of how well, I mean on paper, how well it works, and then also seeing it put to practice in some of these demos, I have to say that I am very excited, because I feel like it's going to kind of keep pretty faithfully to the core of the Final Fantasy battle system, you know, traditional Final Fantasy battle system, where you can still give commands to your teammates. You know, you're not just button mashing as, you know, the sole valuable contributor to the battle, and then the others are just kind of aggro sponges. I don't know. You know, I really like that it looks like they've found a way to balance that, but also still add a lot more of an active element, which just makes the battles feel that much more immersive. And another cool thing too is that you can switch between characters on the fly, so that technically you don't even have to be giving commands. You can do all of the actions yourself, which, and again, in another way, is kind of very reminiscent of the original battle system. You know, you're obviously in that scenario, you're the one giving all the commands, and so in a way, being able to switch on the fly like that kind of also feels like you're still doing the same thing in just a much more active scenario. I guess it remains to be seen how well it works throughout the entire game. You know, I imagine that there's some battles, especially in the later game, where it's going to be interesting to see how they translate that into you know, a more active field type battle. But I'm very excited for this, and I mean, there's not much more that we know at this point. We know that the series is going to be episodic, so you know, that's a little bit worrisome. Hopefully, we don't have to wait years and years and years and years between episodes. But I'm also I would say let's not. I'm inclined to be a little bit skeptical in that. So I mean, you know, we could be having quite the weight on our hands, but then again, you know, maybe that's pretty similar to reading a good book series. You know, you read you get to the end of one of the books, and it blows your mind, and then you have to painfully wait for a few years until you get the next one. So maybe just be like that, and it won't be too painful. I don't know. Anyway, I'm getting really off track though. Let me just bring it home by saying Final Fantasy VII is probably one of my most favorite games ever made, and it's a watershed moment. The original was a watershed moment in RPGs, and I'm really excited to see that they're kind of bringing that same level of passion for the remake that they did for the original. And so far, based on the systems, you know, that they've shown us, and the presentation and the music, go take a listen to the new the orchestration of the battle theme. It'll make you just get the chills. It's so good. From all these things, I am very encouraged. I'm very excited for this, and I'm definitely, it's going to be a day one purchase for me, and I can't wait to play it. I heard too that apparently there's rumors that the demo that has been played by a lot of people at game shows might be made available on PlayStation Network. So, I mean, that almost sounds too good to be true that we'd get to try it, but, you know, let's keep a watch out for that too, because that would be legit. Anyway, I think I've reached the end of my rope here without devolving into just repeated statements of excitement. So I'll just end here and say there's good reason to be excited for this one. So keep your eyes on this one. I think we've got a hit on our hands. And that's it. Yeah, just let us know in the comments what you think about the remake. If you're excited for it, if you plan to pick it up, if you've still got reservations because you're not sure how it will still manage to pay homage to such a monumental game, just give us your thoughts, and we'll be excited to hear what you think. Until next time, guys, keep it nerdy.